Opps, utilizing Matterport, and we're also going to be talking about a few other things, including open space. So we kind of really have a full schedule today, and so I thought we'd probably start just with introductions of who's on stage. I'm going to start with myself. There we go. My name is Charles Recksteiner. I work for the corporate real estate and facilities team at Autodesk. So I'm on the owner side. I both work in projects and also work with something called business integration, which is really kind of the best way to describe it is getting really involved in what we're doing on the product side and using our projects and our spaces kind of as a living lab and testing new things out, new ideas. I think what we're going to talk about today is going to showcase some of the stuff that we're working on and some of the stuff that's forward-looking that we're going to be doing in the future. So I think it's going to be kind of an interesting discussion. But been at Autodesk for 14 years, and so David, why don't you introduce yourself?
David Druff, so I've been at Autodesk for 5 years. I lead our reality capture services in consulting. I'm also the leader of our factory design integrations. I've been scanning for about 12 years, 700+ thousand scans, few hundred million square feet of factories and ships and dams and bridges and anything I get my hands on, any type of equipment. I'm just like the biggest nerd. I don't need to come to capture. I like go to sleep, my scan, wake up, and like we're scanning. So it's big.
I'm John Twalbach. I'm the director of AEC at Matterport. Matterport is newer to the space. I've been there for about 1.5 years now, leading our charge, using our technology as a documentation tool for AEC professionals. I've been in the industry on the technology side for a number of years, some different companies over the years, and just really excited to be here and share a little bit more about what Matterport is with all of you. Thanks for the time.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm Tom Felice, Director of Sales for Open Space. You guys will learn about that a little bit more later. My background is actually in construction, so I work for various general contractors, building some pretty large hospitals. Actually, Nick Bagatellis here was a trade partner, our glazer contractor on the Sutter Hospital in Sacramento I worked on. And lean zealot, was part of a company that was acquired by Autodesk, a Bim360 plan, conceived by none other than the gentleman sitting at the very back row there. It was his brainchild, Dean Reed, out of DPR Construction. And yeah, I'm excited to be here to tell you guys a little bit more about reality capture as it relates to open space and how it works with facilities management and operations.
Excellent. So I think we certainly have a fair amount of geeks up here to talk about this stuff. So hopefully we can introduce some really cool things. So a little bit about Bim360 Opps. How many of you have attended a Bim360 Opps class here at AU this year? How many know what Bim360 Opps is, or this is like a new introduction? So a fair amount of people know. I think the coolest thing what we've done with Bim360 Opps on the owner side, because we've deployed this at Autodesk across our portfolio, is really the connection to BIM. Getting that rich data right into the hands of the owner and operator is really a cool thing. It certainly shortens up the runway of the stuff that we can get into their hands that they can use and operate on day one. So to me, that's what excites me. So some of the benefits, again, that immediate turnover of data is helpful from day one. Gone are the days of the paper handover where you hand over these large binders that sit in a closet and 90% of it's irrelevant on day one. We're able to get that actionable information on assets right into their hands at handoff. So that really enables them to start work right away, and it gives them the kind of information that they need in the field anywhere that they're at in a mobile device at any time. So that's a little bit about that, and I'm going to talk a little bit from the owner side. The facilities professional is kind of like a Swiss Army knife, right? They do all sorts of things. They're a jack of all trades with just a variety of different backgrounds. But one thing that seems to be kind of prevalent in owners is they have a limited knowledge of BIM or experience with it. In some cases, they don't even have models to work from. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. And it's that lack of fidelity in the context in which they can work and presents a problem when they just start to do their work and can create extra work. And also some of the tools that they're using today certainly have interoperability problems and get data from a lot of different sources. So we're going to talk a little bit about addressing that. And specifically, we're going to talk about more on the model side today, is things that when we drop the assets into Bim360 Opps at the end of the project, typically they're getting information and then a model that's in Revit Model Viewer. And so when we put something in the hand of an owner-operator and they get something like this on their screen, it's really not a lot of context for them to operate with where they're at in the space. And so what we're kind of challenging that is, what if we were to take something like that and provide a much richer contextual experience for them, something that they're much more familiar with, and then overlay the asset information that's generated during that construction process and put it into their hands in a much more eloquent and useful way for them. So I kind of take a look at, going from where we're at today, dropping Revit Model Viewer as a Sony Walkman, and the way you used to listen to your music. For those in the room, probably the younger people don't even know what that is. Sorry, but anyways, and kind of listening to your music now on your iWatch. So, and the same way for vendors, this also has a positive experience for them, for the people who are working for the owners in the spaces. When they're handed a work order and they're coming into the space, a lot of times they're not working in that model view either. So what if we're able to, again, envision that we're able to put something into their hands? And the other thing is, too, is some people are using Opps without any type of model base at all. And so what we're going to talk a little bit about is, if we don't have a BIM model to work from, what can we do? We can scan. So with that, I'll turn it a little bit over and talk a little bit about how we do that to David. So.
All right, so super nerdy, right? I'm a workflow guy. I love to document my workflow whenever I can. This is my workflow for capturing a site repetitively. So we commonly go into different facilities where we have out-of-date drawings, where we don't have a drawing at all, and we need to capture it. So I've been working with Matterport very closely over the last year. They've had an amazing solution for real estate, but it's been really small on the FM side. So what we do is we go in with the scanner. This is John will explain what this is, but nice, lightweight, really fast, 30-second scanner. It scans and it creates, it generates a layout, so 2D PDF layout automatically. Walls, doors, suites, we'll get into that. A virtual tour that's web hosted. A point cloud, those all can go into Revit, right? Open space using a camera like this, nice, lightweight, it mounts on your hard hat. Engineering Tom would hate me if I walked around with a selfie stick like this, but I've attached this to my drone, I've attached it to a selfie stick, ball cap, hard hat, and you literally walk the site and capture every step you take as a sphere. And why do we need that? We're trying to capture data, and this is, hopefully you guys can just download this slide later, but we wanted to have to be able to extract out data from the model, from the point cloud, from the virtual tour, and we're managing doors and furnaces and all the information that we need that's going to sit in Opps, right? So here's a little example of what we do when we capture. So sped up a little bit. We're taking the scanner and I'm moving it like really short distances. Has anybody scanned here before? Does anybody scan? We got a few of you. All right, for those of you who don't, static base scanner. It sits in one spot, you move it around, and it stops, it scans, and you go. Matterport, you align on the fly, so there's no manual effort afterwards. So nice, quick, your short range scanning right now. It moves its spot. The reason I'm putting in so many positions is because I want a really good virtual tour. I know it's like, it seems like a picture is not very worthy to some people, but to somebody who doesn't know how to run a high technical program like Revit, they can open up the picture, they can define issues, they can do things like that. On the repetitive side, on a daily capture, we can walk through with this camera, and all I'm doing is literally walking around the site, and I look like the Google Street Earth. Everybody looks at you funny. Like, what are you doing? And it's actually really fun when you walk through the facility. They've got a great algorithm for capturing the facility. It actually looks at all the walls and places the pictures where they are in the facility, not just by GPS or anything. It's all machine learning. Tom will explain that. It's ridiculous. All right, so moving on. This is what open space looks like. Afterwards, you got it on your phone, you got it on your computer. That's the 2D layout I supplied. Those green little dots, those are actually little tiny dots because it's every step you take, it captures the spherical image and drops it in its place. The more you capture it, the more accurate it is. So the main part of this, there's like no human interaction. Like anybody can put this camera on, plug it in your computer, it uploads the data, and you're done. These guys do the rest. Part of the deliverable from that, like cut sheets. So if I want to say, I want to have like note, something like that, this will be like hyperlink, shows you where it's at. And there, Tom will probably explain this a little bit more. Really cool style deliverable stuff that we can drop into like field or glue. All right. And then the other thing, grabbing capture data, we're also looking for model comparisons. Just an explanation like this is point cloud data and the model. So we can drop those two together and see where differences are at, and that's another part of what we're doing. All right, moving on.
Yep. So Dave talked a little bit about workflow. Let's talk a little bit about technology and Matterport and maybe what it is and what it's not. So Dave mentioned the Pro 2 camera. We like to describe it as a structured light camera. A lot of people use the term laser scanner, and that creates a little bit of confusion when you think about laser scanners as the Leica BLK or the Pharaohs or some of those others. It's different technology. Dave mentioned shorter range, so the structured light component, we do have a limited range. We don't have the long range like LiDAR scanners, but we're quick. Scan time, Dave mentioned 30 seconds, 18-second rotations, 30-second setups. We can get through a space pretty quickly, especially tight spaces where I need a lot of setups because I need to see things from multiple size and components. Whether you're using the Leica BLK and taking advantage of the longer range and maybe resolution that you get with LiDAR, or the Pro 2, we're controlling that with the Matterport capture app. So that's what's on your left, and what you see there is a screen snap of what a user sees as they're moving through the space. So like Dave said, we align everything automatically in the field. You get visual confirmation of what's been collected. If you move too far or there's no alignment, you get an error message. It is virtually foolproof to collect a space with the camera. Literally pressing one button, capture, move, button, capture, move. We do all that alignment automatically. When I'm done capturing the space, I go ahead and upload it to Matterport. And this is what we do a refined processing. We combine the structured light with the images or the LiDAR data from the BLK with the images, the HDR images, and we produce what we call a true 3D dollhouse. So this is the walkthrough experience. So this is what everyone sees and thinks about when they think about Matterport. And this just is a very interactive experience. We can get top-down views, so that's a scaled image that can get dropped into CAD, do some more refined CAD drawings. We do export some of the 3D data, OBJ files, point cloud information, but this is a really good communication and collaborative tool, right? It's the idea that a picture is worth 1,000 words, that immersive experience to be in it in 3D with that 4K image resolution really elevates that experience for users. So like Dave mentioned, we can auto-generate layouts. So this is a service that we offer, so I can download from the 3D that's captured a PDF of the space itself, which is a layout of the facility. To zoom in a little bit, some of the detail that you get, we do some automated calculations, dimensions of the space, square footage, those types of things that hopefully can add some value as you move downstream. And then also, like we mentioned, the 3D component. So because it is structured light and we do have a point cloud, I'm able to take that point cloud information, download that, and drop that into your Autodesk tool. So typically that workflow is drop it into Recap, do some QA/QC on it. You can combine it with other point cloud information if you need to, and then take it over into something like Revit, do your model, do your design work, all those things. Or as I think we're going to talk a little bit more, how the model is integrated with Bim360 as well. All right? Tom?
Great, thanks. And Dave already kind of gave a good preview of the workflow. So open space, virtual tour of your job site with no labor or infrastructure. So what do I mean by that? So, oops. So the question I pose is, what if I can guarantee that you had a picture of everything all the time? The idea of open space is, Dave mentioned, you stick actually this Garmin 360 on a hard hat, and during construction, that's what most of our customers use it. Now, as the job site is changing every day, you may not have the time or luxury to laser scan or even set up this device. If the job site's going, there's a lot of people. You just want to be able to do your quality checklist or your safety walk. And while you're doing that, the idea is this sits on your head and it's just visually capturing the entire job site. So with this mounted on your hard hat, you sync it to the cloud, again, while you're doing other tasks, and then you come back and you have this, what I call a Google Street View, if you guys have ever used that. A Google Street View of your job site as it changes throughout time. So, and then you can start to compare that, and Charles will show you some functionality of timeline functionality where you can see what the site looked like yesterday or last month or last year and how it compares to how it looks today in kind of a side-by-side view. So this is the output on the web app of what the capture does in the field. Same sort of idea. You've got these waypoints, and you can kind of scroll around, again, all in 360, so you don't need to look around, and you don't need to walk like Dave did, like a machine. Like, you can actually just walk regular, believe it or not. And so you just walk around, your superintendent is even stopping to talk to someone, saying, hey, this issue's happening, oh great, let me annotate that, and that annotation actually can be saved for later to go back and appear as a floating annotation in your Google, virtual walk. So, this is a really impressive team. I just joined this company. This is my 5th construction technology company, actually, that I've been at. And I'm super impressed by, these guys all have AI and computer vision backgrounds, MIT PhDs, Caltech PhDs, that are really ingesting a massive amount of data. So you can imagine the insights that you can start to pull from this data as it relates to productivity, progress, subcontractor, rates. Oops, and I'm skipping ahead to Charles's part, so I will not do that and steal his thunder. But there's some interesting things that we can do with object recognition, tying it to schedule. The first technology company being a scheduling tool, where understanding what got done and what didn't get done on a daily basis is super important to get those reliable commitments. This tool is the visual representation of that daily schedule. So being able to tie to that is something that's really exciting that we're looking at and moving forward to understand PPC and work in place. So with that, I'll pass it back to Charles.
We can show off your stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's right.
Yeah, and so this is just one of the few things that we're starting to utilize this for is really, this is valuable information to an owner. When project completion, we can go back and kind of rewind the timeline. And so that's, I think, what this video is kind of showcasing, the ability there is that we can do this on projects and take a look around at different phases of that. So how do we all tie this back in? We're talking about, how do we make Bim360 Opps pop? And really we're taking a look at these newer technologies as ways that we can really give more contextual information to an owner at the close of a project. And taking the views that are currently there and then overlaying them with meaningful data to that. So a couple examples of how we kind of are starting to do this work is overlaying the critical things that happen in day-to-day operations, where we can take information and put it into their hands, kind of using matter tags within Matterport to bring that asset data in from BIM and then put it into the hands of an owner. Again, another example of a mechanical box where we can do that kind of thing. And again, it's putting this information all at the owner's fingertips in a place where they're doing the work. And again, I think we saw a little bit of the video here. This is our San Francisco gallery. So we can then also provide information for them on some of the artifacts and some of the background information too. So we're also starting to think about how we might be able to use this on projects. This is our Boston Tech Center that you see on the left, and we're going to be doing some expansion work actually coming up in a few weeks, where we start with a blank slate that you see on the right in this old industrial building built in the 1900s. We've selected some partners, and we're actually going to start to use the Matterport and the open space together with these project partners to kind of map from start to finish. Again, capturing what we need to do for the existing conditions. Older buildings like that are definitely not square and have many issues, especially floor level in this particular building, are things we want to find out ahead of time for our project team and for the experience. So capturing that information and throughout the project using open space to, again, reference those scans and then provide us the information as we move through the project and create a timeline for our team. But then we can take this information in the end and embed this into Bim360 Opps. So along with bringing in the traditional things that we're doing like assets, we also want to be able to bring in records of construction with the scan data, and also bringing in that contextual information from something like Matterport. When we first showed this to our owners, they thought we were showing them pictures, and we're like, no, these are scans. And so they're very excited about using something like this. It offers them a lot more usability for what they're doing. Typically, they're not working in things like Revit and building information modeling. So being able to take the asset data from the model and put it into something they can better understand is kind of really interesting and something that we want to do at Autodesk on future projects. So to talk a little bit more about that, because there is, let's see where it is. So Katie's going to talk about stuff that actually is happening as we're starting to do that work. Katie's actually doing the work right now with customers. So
Well,
go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Our customers are doing the work. So this is a video. If you want to go ahead and show it. So this is Arkansas Children's, which is presented a case study earlier this week. This is their asset record in Bim360 Opps, facility CMMS. Looking at the asset, we can click through and see the Matterport scan of this space. We're going to zoom in. I think we're going to look at a VAV box in this one. So this is live on the hospital today, being used by the facilities team. What they've done here is link the scan to the assets. We have some other customers that are exploring this. They're linking the scans to the room records. They see a lot of potential for renovations. So, we have the really great BIM model at the beginning of the facility. We have all the great scans, but they do a lot of renovations, very small renovations, combining classrooms, breaking them apart. They're really excited about this type of technology to be able to go in and capture those. They're excited about using it for their vendors coming on site to be able to walk in and preview the space beforehand. So we're very excited, and thank you, Mark, for providing the video of Arkansas Children's today.
Very good. I think we're going to talk into just a little bit. Do we have some questions for
We do.
the panels? All right, so we'll just move right into the panel discussion.
So we're going to move into a quick panel discussion. Does anyone have any questions before we start this? Yes.
So with the 360 Opps, looking at the asset, when you click on the asset and it takes it to the Matterport, like the Donmo scan, does it take you right to the object with the Matter, like is the Matter tag and the asset linked within the Opps platform?
They can be. It's a little bit of a manual process right now, but it absolutely can be, or it can be zoomed out at that room record with a list of assets, and then you can zoom around in and out.
I see.
Talk a little bit more about
Yeah, so with both Open Space and Matterport, they provide unique URLs for individual locations. So Matterport, you just hit the U button on your keyboard, and it'll give you a hyperlink to that. With Open Space, you can just export a link out right from the main page. So both areas where we're trying to figure out how to automate the attachment of those locations. And I think we're going to try and do that like geolocated type of thing through the layout. But overall, it's to be able to put both of these like single captures and multi-data captures
But
together.
you're saying right now you can take that unique URL and link it to the asset in the Opps.
Yes.
And we're similarly doing that with factory design. So when we publish assets for factory design, we can put hyperlinks in to the objects and do that for layouts too.
So with Matter tags, when you're in the model itself, you can embed information, text, videos, PDFs, and go that way with it. And then like Dave's describing, the deep link goes backwards. So I can be in an external program and jump back to that particular location in the asset. So it's that idea of working both ways in a step towards that integration.
You look like you have a question.
Yeah, I was trying to develop it. So have you used this for factory applications and ergonomics within factory movements and and, layout.
So the question
And then,
is,
and then the second part would be, and then capturing tact times and using, those 2 or 3 things.
Yes. So that's what I do at Autodesk, is I integrate, we call it Scan a Factory, also Scan a Bin. I just did a project with AV where we went out and scanned, captured the tact times, and then built a process analysis model, and then led into a layout and optimized the layout with that.
And then one more thing, training, have you used it? Because there's some augmented stuff in there. Have you used it for training?
I haven't used it yet for training. I wish I could say that we have. The Matterport itself is set up for some style of training as well. The GLWA in Detroit, the Great Lakes Water Association, we're working with them. They're Matterporting all of their sites and embedding all of the safety videos within it, exits, anything where you have to actually physically walk through. So it has a, like the Google Cardboard, you can drop it for VR. But it really is immersive. You can walk through the facility. Their premise this year is to actually put that into place so that way each person that comes on the site, they need to say, all right, I'm going to walk from here to there. They're going to walk through the facility and virtually first before they can.
Oh, are we giving these 4 great questions?
We can, yeah, go for it.
Can we go?
He does things like that.
I need to see it.
question back here.
Can you talk a little more about how open space is tracking your movement through that plan? Is it reliant on some sort of setup to begin with, or is it?
Sure. Yeah, so actually, that's the patented secret sauce, because this is a dumb 360 camera, right? And you're in a GPS denied environment, meaning that you're indoors and GPS doesn't work, so it's not like it can accurately track your movement. So this is what these guys from MIT have basically developed, this video technology that is the same robotics that actually powers self-driving cars and uses AI and understanding where it is in the building to accurately map it with that little path that you saw. So took a lot of hard work and engineering to actually put that, to actually make it work seamlessly for the end user, because that's what it does. It works on the back end for you. You don't have to figure out where it is. You have to tell it where it is from the very start, one time, and then it kind of orients itself from there to figure out the path that you took in the building.
I mean, it says, you tell it, you open the entire layout on your phone, and it's like I'm a blob, and it really just like puts a dot on the size of this room. So it's not actually using that position other than the general location, and it's using the actual layout itself. It's looking, their machine learning is looking at the layout, the doors, and all those openings to calculate where it's at. Very smart.
Just a couple questions. One, I saw you had done a scan at the Autodesk Portland office in your presentation yesterday. Did you use Matterport as well?
Yeah, so no, that was a more traditional scanning that we did for that. Matterport's something that we've recently done. Portland was done last year. So some of our forward-looking projects, expansion in Boston, other projects we're taking a look at using this going forward.
And we've got Novi, San Francisco, Boston, and Denver scanned.
And until recently, you could only use the Matterport Pro 2 camera. So we announced the partnership with Leica. So the BLK operates very similarly to how you operate the Pro 2. Take advantage of the technology. So with structured light, outdoor sunlight, it washes it out. It can be a challenge. Bigger spaces, limited range, getting detail on the ceiling. So it's opened up the toolbox in a sense for our users to now be able to use the right piece of hardware and still have that Matterport experience. And that's something that's really important for us as we move forward to bring in more sensors and types of data and integrate that into that experience.
We love the outdoors, by the way. Open space. We work awesome outdoors, actually.
Over there.
You mentioned export from the Matterport, like a virtual tour. So is that an option now through, is that through like cloud, or can you export that to the photo mesh like an OBJ?
Yeah, so exports from Matterport, you have the link that you can share. And that high-resolution dollhouse is that link, and that's on our cloud, that stays there.
Okay.
You do have the option to download some 3D assets. So that is a lower resolution mesh file, an OBJ file, that can be downloaded. We can also download the point cloud. We can download the 360 panos, any still images that we create. The floor plan, the layout PDF is a export download option from that. So those are all things that you can download and keep local
Okay.
off of the cloud.
And is that through that link, that URL, that you
Yeah,
download
so-
those, or?
So as a user, you have a Matterport account,
Right.
and when you're logged into there, that's where you can then access those.
Yeah, that layout really is their secret sauce. I mean, that's, they charge a really nominal fee to create the layout. And it's, I mean, if you took the time, that image that we showed, that was a 30,000 square foot space with all of the door screens, the wall thicknesses, the square footage, and they generated it with one click. I mean, I know they probably did more in the background, but we didn't have a layout. And all we did was run this thing through. It took us one evening to run it through and pop out a 3D layout.
You know, that's important for us too, because we can use that Matterport layout to then feed into the 2D layout for our machine algorithms to actually have a really accurate space to then scan on a more frequent daily basis, right, as the space changes.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We don't promote it, and our users aren't using it every day. They're identifying key milestones that we don't want to have that model to travel back in time with, but to use a tool like OpenSpace to do that daily documentation and have some of that back and forth between the deliverables that makes sense from a user perspective, I think is a great workflow. On the PDF side, you know, I think machine learning, AI, all of that is really important for all of our companies as we move forward, and that's something that we're really working on as well. So some of the rooms get automatically identified, square footages, measurements, all of that's automated, and as we move forward, we want to do more of that. Every now and again, we'll get a misidentified room and a label a room as a living room because of maybe the furniture in it, and so we've got to tweak that a little bit, but as we move forward, we want to make sure that we're doing those things and automating some of those processes as well.
So is there a link from that PDF 2D layout between either of your visualizations?
There's nothing embedded. It is absolutely something you can do. I mean, the PDF is editable, and those are the things that our users are doing to create those links back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah, there's an open API as well. So there's a ability, we've seen some companies go out and just take that API, take the layout, create some deep links, putting hyperlinks and basic layout. That way they deliver the layout, just the PDF, to a customer that is mid to low technical, and they serve it up through, okay, I'm clicking on this PDF and it drives you through to, just like we're doing with Opps, to the site, to the virtual spot, and then having like drop downs of where things are at, fire extinguishers, exits, making available for like insurance companies and fire